In our panelists tonight, we've got Reverend Bafana Khumalo, who is from Central Diocese. His biography goes as follows. He is a member of the senior management team at Sonke Gender Justice, serving as the co-executive director as one of the founders. Reverend Bafana Khumalo is a well-accomplished track record in an NGO sector. He was a senior gender technical advisory for the Gender Health South Africa between 2012 to 2013. From 2001 to 2008, he served as a commissioner at the National Commission for Gender Equality from 2001 to 2006. And also in 2007 to 2011, at the CGE, he was instrumental in assisting the national and provincial Department of Government to plan and coordinate many activities related to men, gender, and HIV. Reverend Bafana has spoken to many national and international conferences on men, gender, HIV, and AIDS, including the UN Commission of Status of Women in 2007, 2008, and 2010. Amazing stuff. And the International AIDS Society Conference, where it was held in Mexico in 2008. Together with the Sonke co-director Dean Peacock, he was also awarded the Men's Health Magazine Best Man Award in 2007. Recipient of the Vital Voices of Solidarity Award in 2014. Winner of the Forbes Women Africa Male Gender Advocate Award in 2020. Reverend Bafana currently serves as a co-chair at the SANAC's Social and Structured Drivers Technical Task Team, and he also serves as a trustee of South African Women in Dialogue, which is SAWID. He is the member of the Men Engage Global Board, and he's a member of the Side by Side Global Steering Committee. He served as a member of the Presidential Gender Review Council in South Africa. He is the member of the Ministerial Advisory Committee for the Social Behavioral Change re-COVID-19. Reverend Bafana also serves as an associate pastor at the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Southern Africa in Tembisa Parish. He holds a Bachelor of Theology in Honors and Masters in Theology from the University of Natal, Pietermaritzburg. Thank you so much. We welcome you, Reverend. And then the second panelist that we have is Reverend T.M. Duma, who is from Southeastern Diocese. Was born at Inchanga under Newswa Parish and then Umgeni Second, and now he is in Durban Second. His calling began in 1996 and went to Umpumulo Lutheran Seminary in 1998 till 2001. His first parish call was at Epangweni, which is Odini Second, where he served for 4 years and was transferred to Mvoti Second in the deep rural parish of Emakhabeleni. It should be noted, he said, that he was the last pastor to serve in that parish due to its conditions. So kudos to him. Reverend Duma then became an acting dean at Shiani Second in 2011, and then the dean of the Second from 2012 till 2020. Reverend Duma is now a diaconate officer for the Southeastern Diocese, where he is a part of ecumenical pastors working in prison ministry, specializing on restorative justice and mediation between offenders and their victim. He, during his diaconate collaboration with different dioceses, stakeholders, and partners, his donating partners, he is engaged in positive parenting program in collaboration with Clones Without Borders. Am I saying that right? I'm hoping so. Clones Without Borders, sorry. Parenting and lifelong health. Reverend Duma is a full-time parish pastor at Pietermaritzburg South and has 4 kids, and he said this, with 1 wife. Thank you so much, Reverend Duma, and welcome. The third panelist that we have, all the way from the Eastern Diocese, which is Eswatini. Welcome, Brother Musa Leonard Dlamini, who is from the Eswatini Circuit, for St. Martin's Parish, and he holds a bachelor's degree in community development and currently pursuing his Master of Philosophy in Development Studies. He has more than 15 years of work experience facilitating public health programs in different organizations. He is currently serving at ELCSA as an HIV and AIDS Health and Wellness Officer. Welcome again, Babi. Then we have Reverend Moshe Moses Musilani, all the way from Bokone Bophirima, Western Diocese. Reverend Moshe Moses Musilani was born in Ladybourne, Pretoria, and is baptized in the Dutch Reformed Church, confirmed in the Lutheran Church. Amazing stuff. He attended elementary education in Sibilong, Palani, Kromemine, Kralhoek, and Mantere. High school in Murle, and he worked in the mines. Then he went to Marang Seminary to study theology and obtained a diploma in theology. He was ordained in 1983 and served in different parishes. He proceeded to UNISA, where he obtained a degree in honors in theology, and he obtained his master's in business administration in UniWest. He worked as a teacher and acted as a principal of a high school. He worked as an exchange pastor in Germany, and he worked the municipalities as senior administrator, and is currently a pastor in Bethany Parish. Welcome, Reverend. And last, we have Dean MP Racheku, all the way from the Northern Diocese. Dean Masilo Philip, born in Kham Maleboho on the western side of Polokwane, then later relocated to Kapani on the east side of Polokwane. He was baptized and confirmed in the Lutheran Church. He started his primary school at Mokhadi Lower Primary School, then Mamatlepa Higher Primary School, and matriculated in Mudibatsi Secondary School. He holds a degree in theology with theological education and extension college. He mostly worked in rural communities such as Mawa Parish, Kubuni Parish, Bulubedu Parish, and then he became a dean of ELCSA Mpome Circuit. He generally loves to serve the people of God, particularly those who are in need. And then his Lutheran Church gave him an opportunity where he served with the people of God. For example, he last met with the office of the deputy chairperson of the NYDA on discussion on the table, how best can they help the grade 12 learners with grade 12 study guides. Amazing. With grace of God, we managed to be provided with 3 schools with grade 12 study guides. Thank you so much for that. He's married to Moloko Racheku, and blessed with 2 daughters, Mercy, who is 13 years, and Komisho, who is 9 years of age. Thank you so much. Those are our panelists for tonight. Tonight, our moderator will be Brother Khomotso Muntu, Richard Muntu, who will be writing and allowing us to enjoy and indulge ourselves in this beautiful, beautiful webinar of today. Without any waste of time, I'll hand it over to you. Over to you, Brother Khomotso.
Good evening, brethren, my bishop, friends and colleagues in Christ. This is the day that the Lord has created, and we shall rejoice over it. As we start with our very informative and thought-provoking interaction and discussion, I want us to remind ourselves that as the church, ELCSA, we operate within the SADC region. And within the SADC region, we are exposed to a number of hard socio-economic realities. One, poverty. Within the SADC region, about 70% of the population live below the poverty line of $2 per day. We have a number of millions of children living and working on the street. Gender-based violence is the order of the day. We have high unemployment rate, which is affecting a lot of youth. We are also affected by natural disasters in the light of climate change. Brothers, brethren, and friends and colleagues, within this context, my honorable panelists, what does faith mean to us as we celebrate ELCSA 50th Golden Jubilee? Looking at the context in which the church is operating, in the context in which the church's people are living. And Dean Ramochaga, if you lead us in terms of what does faith mean to us as we celebrate a Jubilee, a 50 ELCSA Golden Jubilee within the context that I've alluded to. Over to you.
Thank you, Facilitator, Brother Khomotso. Let me greet my bishop and all the clergy present and all those who managed to be on the platform. I greet you in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The question is, what does faith in action mean to us as we going to celebrate 50th Golden Jubilee? Maybe it's important for us to define what is faith in action. Faith in action, it's what the church teach and do for the communities where it exists. It's important as the church that we make an impact in the community, not only in form of spiritual intervention, but even on physical intervention. Now, in the last 50 years, what did ELCSA did in this regard, in faith in action? I would say, facilitator, that what is important of us too is we need to reflect on what did we do from 1975 to date. I understand we have contributed immensely in building the political activists and allowing political organizations to operate in our facilities. And secondly, we did very well in social welfare, where as the church, especially I will speak from the Northern Diocese point of view, where as the church we engage directly with the institutions where which are mostly led by women and provide groceries and money where it's needed. And to an extent that even families where we see they are less fortunate, we provided groceries. And generally, in this reflection, I will quote what Professor Isabella Piri writes when he speaks about diaconia. He says, diaconia is a positive outworking of one's faith in a specific action of service, caring for the world that God so loved. So this is what the church need to reflect on as we are journeying for Golden Jubilee.
Thank you very much. As you continue, Dean, you have already touched on that, and I want you to elaborate. For the past 50 years, what are concrete things that you have done as the church to demonstrate faith in action? And to what extent are we making meaningful contribution to God's people, to our members, and to the community in which we operate?
Thank you very much, President Brother Komoto. Yeah, the church have, when I refer to the church, I mean the ELCSA. ELCSA have done fairly enough in this regard by creating even structures that help to interact with the communities in such a way that they are meaningful contributions. I have indicated in my introduction of the efforts the church took, first in building capable people who became political activists, and secondly by giving our own buildings so that political organization can hold the meetings, which at the time, you remember it was during the time of apartheid. So we did fairly well, but not only that, maybe I'll focus more on the leagues. Our leagues have done exceptionally well in making efforts in contributing groceries, in some instance building houses, in contributing towards disastrous communities. So they did well in bringing tangible things to able to help the communities which were in pain.
Thank you very much. Reverend Duma, welcome once again. Reverend Duma, do you want to reflect also in terms of, for you, what does faith means in action as we celebrate Golden Jubilee within the context in which we find ourselves and in which we find the church operating in? Over to you.
Thank you, Brother Khomotso. I hope I am clear and audible.
Yes, my leader.
Thank you. Greetings to our Deputy Bishop, deans present, and pastors, as well as all members who are present in this webinar. And thank you for having us who are passionate about the diaconate work and faith in action to also be part of the panelists in this webinar. I want to move from the scriptural reading so that it will add a spiritual or scriptural meaning of what faith in action means to the church 50 years ago and 50 years down. I will read first from John chapter 5. I'm reading from Luther Study Bible. I don't know how much people like it, but I use it because it's the one in front of me. John chapter 5, verse 6 to 9. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool." Maybe I should add it there. You know the text. But the answer of the man requires faith in action. I have no one. I need someone. And I will also read from from Mark chapter 2. I will read first 5 verses, but I'll pay attention to verse 5. I think also you know about this verse. It's about 4 men who helped the paralytic men to get in contact with Jesus. It says, "And when they could not bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, they removed the roof above, and after having dug through it, they let down the mat on which the paralyzed man was laying. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic man, 'Your sins are forgiven.'" Again, this talks to the action of 4 men with the paralytic man. So my contribution regarding to these 2 texts is the approach of the missionaries 50 years ago, and it was a very good approach, but it was quoted with this government system that was there. The approach was to have a mission area, and it was then called a mission farm, where there were 4 elements of doing mission work and faith in action. There was a school, there was a clinic, and there was a farm work. And as I said before, unfortunately, it went hand in hand with the system that was there. So the farm was for industrialization of the area or working in that area where job opportunities were created. The school was where education was provided, as well as the clinic was where health services were attended to. That approach to me was basically faith in action. Unfortunately, it was together with the government system of that time. So for faith in action for me and for what I believe the church should look at it, should be under the 2 texts that I've read and many more texts that we can read, the Good Samaritan texts. But faith in action for me is the work of the church in addressing social ills, as you've mentioned, Brother Khomotso, and also in being part of social development of the area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One of the powerful quotation by Mother Teresa says, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Does that translate to faith in action? Reverend Muselane and Reverend Bafana Kumalo, your take on this. What does faith in action mean to us? Reverend Muselane? Reverend Bafana Kumalo?
Thank you very much, Program Director. I stand on established protocols this evening. I do think we need to mark this occasion of Jubilee as a very important era for our church to reflect on where we are from in order to chart a way forward for the next 50 years. The occasion of Jubilee, of course, is a moment for us to reflect on the blessings that God has been with us in this journey and has guided our church, as we say, Ebenezer, because without God, we would not be where we are. It is appropriate, though, that as we mark this occasion and celebrate some of the examples that my brother Racheku has outlined, which I align myself with in terms of the contribution that we have made as the church, we need to remind ourselves of that important intervention by the writer of the book of James, who reminds us, faith without works is dead. Meaning that faith without action is meaningless, truly. Our church has, over the years, contributed to social development, as we have heard, through education, through providing bursaries, support for students in order for them to develop themselves, provision of goods and commodities to respond to communal needs. And Dean Racheku has outlined food parcels to provide skills in communal gardening. Many of us who have been in this church for long will remember how our church at least provided some skills for some communities. We also had sewing projects that were helping particularly women in our church develop their softer skills in order to make out a living, but also ensure that they provide much needed clothing for communities. But I do think that, Program Director, even as we celebrate some of these noble interventions, in your introduction, in fact, I felt touched with the scope you were sketching, which indicates the phenomenal challenge we are facing as the region in terms of poverty levels, unemployment, disaffected communities, which is a challenge for us as a church. I think much as we are recognizing the contribution we've made, we also need to confess and to say we have not done enough. And therefore, there's still a lot that needs to be done going forward. And I think this webinar sets a proper framework for us to begin to reflect what more still needs to be done. How do we fine-tune from the lessons that we have learned from the past in charting a way forward that ensures that we appropriately position ourselves as the church to make the difference, so that indeed we can be the salt of the world and the light of the earth. We cannot be that if we are insular, as I will argue, that a lot of our work at the moment, we are looking inward. We are more worried about our own structures, worried about, do this look good or not well in how we have positioned ourselves. And very little of our work at the moment focuses on external mission and diaconal work. And I think we need to be honest about that so that we can indeed chart a way forward that helps us in the next 50 years to make that difference that we should make. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inspiring word. Reverend Maselan, what's your reflection on faith in action? And while we're still locating Reverend Musalani, let's remind ourselves that I am the church, you are the church, together we are the church. Mother Teresa continued to say, we can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. Back to you, Ausinkele. What's our reflection as a church? You are the church, I am the church, we are the church together. What's your reflection? What's your comment? What's your take on this issue? Back to you, Sisikele.
Thank you so much. And indeed, we are the church. Do we have any hands? I know that we do have Bishop Sikwari, who's got her hand up. Over to you, Bishop N.J. Sikwari, Deputy Presiding Bishop. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I think Reverend Racheku has highlighted some of the things that are happening, that are going out, and the church has, at her best, tried to set an example that, though difficult it was to also accommodate women, as socially they have been regarded as people that were in their is to raise children until 1976, 7, 8, when they decided to ordain the first women. And then from there, the first dean was elected, and now the first bishop has been elected. However, we still have a journey, a long journey, to make sure that we really make sure that the women in the church are safe, because most of the women are in the church, and you go to the congregations, they are 90%, but we still have a lot of leadership being men. And I'm happy to say now we have the bishop's deputy, who is a female in the Eastern Diocese, and his deputy as a woman in the Northern Diocese. So women play a big role also in influencing the social impact in the community. Dean Racheku has already indicated about identification of the needy families, so that wherever the women are, those people are being taken care of. And we have the project of attending to schools and providing with the necessary needs for those schools, so that in particular the girl child can feel comfortable while they are at school. What we have forgotten is that the church brought education, but now, so far in the Northern Diocese, we have this that is coming, and the feeling that the handouts are no longer. We have to do things on our own. So we have the circuit that has decided now to start with a project that will benefit the whole community in the form of a school and provide the skills, something that we have forgotten as the church, as Reverend Bafana has indicated, that we are so much engrossed with what is happening inside, and we have forgotten to reach out, though it is not totally forgotten. We do it bits and pieces. And I think embarking on this kind of a project will help that the communities benefit and we have more of outreach to the communities. And indeed, as we go to celebrate the Jubilee, we need to not just celebrate, but to make a mark to say we need to make sure that the Christ who came to live on this earth and stretched his hands out to everybody, may this church be the hands and the feet of Christ, without any help from somewhere, but making sure that those are in the church may understand that the grace that has been given to us and the mercy that we have received and all that which God has given us, we need to share with those that are around us so that they can also see God and praise this God we are worshiping. And they know this God without all these other things that we want to attach to the life, maybe of those that are in the church. So that is the input that I can make for now, is a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my bishop. And as you continue, Reverend Bafana and Reverend Jamin, can we reflect for the past 50 years, briefly so, what are we doing to demonstrate faith in action? And to what extent are we making meaningful contribution? Remembering that there are still millions of women who are subjected to endless violence. As we speak, there are millions of children who are going to bed on an empty stomach. What have we done for the past that demonstrate faith in church? Over to Reverend Bafana Kumala there after Reverend Duma. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Program Director. I do think that we need to acknowledge that in our diocese, for instance, we have a comprehensive response to HIV through our program called DEM, which actually came as a very appropriate response. As we all know, HIV in sub-Saharan Africa is represented by the face of young women, particularly in the ages of 14 to 24. And many of these young women are in that situation because of some of the challenges of our dysfunctional social behaviors, infected by older men, the so-called phenomenon of sugar daddies and blessers, which is a misnomer because we even use language that, in my view, is very out of order, because blessing, as we all know, is a positive concept theologically. And yet here we are in our society that important notation is used to justify ill-doing against young women. And I think through such interventions like them, it has been a very positive response of the voice of a Christ who stands with those that are afflicted and are impacted by the ravages of diseases like HIV. And it's an important intervention. We need to acknowledge that. And I'm aware that this is not just in our diocese. There are other dioceses that have also done similar. But you have also touched on another important matter, which the bishop, the deputy presiding bishop, has alluded to. The issue of gender-based violence, which, as we all know, is massive in our country. I mean, the United Nations tells us that the levels of gender-based violence in South Africa is 5 times the global average. So it is a huge, huge problem. And through our interventions, I think in the church, we, in our diocese, developed a GBV campaign several years ago, developed a lot of tools, trained people in our community to respond to these challenges. And this, of course, culminated last year with the leadership of our presiding bishop and the deputy presiding bishop in developing what was called the Haga campaign, which I hope we have not forgotten about. And we've had many parishes getting involved in that campaign. which also was the church getting closer to communities to say, we really are part of this community that is afflicted by the ravages of gender-based violence. And we develop tools, which I hope that many of our parishes are taking this forward, because those are comprehensive interventions that really make a difference in the lives of women and girls in our community. Several entities of our church, which I think we need to acknowledge, also provide interventions to the most vulnerable in our community. I want to cite here particularly the Prayer Women's League and the Prayer Women's Fellowship. I know for a fact that periodically they obviously mobilize to collect goods that they share with marginalized communities, sharing with organizations that look after children that are abandoned, sharing with organizations that are looking after women that are caught up in affliction, and therefore providing a sense of hope for them that in spite of what they are going through, there are others who are caring for them, who are thinking about them. We have had periodically some of our parishes calling on all of us, for instance, to contribute unused clothes, which are then shared with those that are on the margins and don't have anything to do. And all of these are not enough, as I've indicated, but they are very important, I think, symbols of what it is that we can do if we were to work collaboratively and harness our activities as the church. I am also aware that we have seen a lot of engagement of ministries, also particularly by some of our leagues, to the sick, to the infirm that are at homes, that don't have anybody looking after them. And this is where I think we need to be found as the church, where people feeling alone can no longer feel that they are alone, because they know that there are people who care for them, who are brothers and sisters, who are always willing to come to their rescue in support. We have had some of the organizations providing what I call healthcare commodities to young girls, for instance, menstrual health products. As we all know, many of our girls end up taking days off school because they don't have just basic commodities when they are going through their menstrual cycles. And I think for me, we need really to learn from these smaller interventions in how can we coordinate this as a formidable entity that is in the southern part of our region, as we have indicated, Chair. How do we harness the fact that we've got presence in all these countries and we've got this membership that is found in all these corners of the region, and ensure that we align and coordinate so that we can amplify our interventions. And I think with that proper coordination, we can really make a difference so that people can know that indeed there's a Christ who cares for them, even when they face these challenges in their personal lives.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Khomotso. I'm also answering your second question.
Yes, Raf, over to you.
Yes, it's very important what Reverend Bafana was saying, and part of faith in action in our diocese in SED. We are thankful of the heritage we have from our regional churches to ELCSA, such as institutions that are called diaconal institutions. In our diocese, we have almost 6 institutions that provide social care and are still part of the church, and they are represented in the diocesan synod. One of them, I'll mention all of them, is Kwaza Moguhle Diaconate Center. That center provides the whole ELCSA with wafers. And we encourage ELCSA to use wafers from that center. And I know that during the celebration of Jubilee, We will commune with that way first. It provides employment. It also have community gardens. We have the other center, which is an old age center, old age home in Shiane Circuit. KwaZomokuhle is in Ondini Circuit, around Escort. We have another center, Mseni Old Age Home. That one is a church ELC center, but it's also funded by the Department of Social Development because of the grants that old age people receive. But it's free to welcome other people who are not receiving old age grant, and they stay there. They have two sections. They have self-care section where those who want to stay there and can cook for themselves, and they have a frail care section, and they have those who cannot help themselves. It is currently having 80 citizens there, and it is fully functioning. We have Schroeder Care Center in Eshowe. That center was when the regional churches were operating, it was one of the one of Maqamsela Bible School, Maqamsela Bible School in Eshowe. And then it was then a school, a boarding school for the Lutherans, and now it's a care center for the old age people. Currently, it's being renovated to cater for 25 old age people. And it is renovated through the assistance of the diaconate work here in SAD. We have a wonderful mission work and a wonderful diaconate work and social intervention work in Vryheid. It is called Zwart Umfolozi Etembeni Care Center. That one was an initiative of 3 Swedish ladies, and it was headed over. It was headed over to one of our sisters. I'm sure some of you know Sister Happiness, who is now a lecturer in Mpumulo Seminary. But it is 100% taken care of. It caters for community children who come from school as a drop-in center. It also assists them with homeworks, schoolworks, but it also do community gardens. It is involved in healthcare work. And we have KwaXesa Old Age Home, which is now basically a community center. KwaXesa is around Ulundi. It is doing well with the community center where it is led by community people. In Durban, we have LPH, Lutheran Publishing House. It is one of the employment opportunities for people who work there, but it's also a profit-making diaconate center. And there's one diaconate project in Durban also. So all these centers I'm mentioning. Oh, I forgot to mention ELCSA Art and Craft. And ELCSA Art and Craft was historically one of the art and craft where it had rugs and paintings that projected anti-apartheid activism. And it was visited a lot by people from Sweden. And we've made rugs for many political leaders. And one of its co-founder, Malin Sulvan, received an order of not an order of. I'll remember that order from President Cyril Ramaphosa. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
And then we have other initiatives, and like Reverend Bafana was saying, all the leagues are involved in stewardship and community project, and they call it outreach programs. Every time when there is a women's league meeting, youth league meeting, young adult meeting, whatever meeting, In that area where they meet, they need to invest in outreach.
Thank you.
They need to be involved in outreach program. And we have developed a pattern that they should only not bring food parcel. They should adopt a center or anything that is within that community. The current one, they have adopted an orphanage in Tongat area. And they also need to bring seedlings and garden tools to the conference area where they would be. So if they meet on Friday and there's an opportunity to do gardening, and they do it on Sunday when they leave, they are done with that garden and they've planted something and they leave that conference with a garden. So it's a wonderful experience. And like Bafana Kumalo, the diaconate office is busy with many programs within the diocese. And some of them include psychosocial support for community leaders and pastors. And then we have disaster programs. You know, KwaZulu-Natal is a disaster province. So we are looking, and we are the eyes and ears for disaster relief. And Brother Shmir will concur with me. 2021 disaster was a very big one. And we had a distribution of 1.2 million rands on food parcels through gift vouchers for ShopRite checkers. And that was a wonderful experience to see the church being involved in that project. We have other collaborations, as Sister Nkele was saying when she was introducing me. We encourage parishes to collaborate with local companies. I collaborate with Albany Bread here in Pietermaritzburg. I collaborate with Fairfield cheese production or yogurt production company here in Maritzburg. I collaborate with Unilever. Like what Bafana was saying, I get my sanitary towel from Unilever, I get my roll-on, I get my toothpaste, I get my other cosmetic, and I put it in a gift pack, a simple pack, and I distribute it around. I don't only distribute it. I make sure that the pack has messages, a church message, and any other message from any collaboration team that is around. So a package alone becomes a carrier of a certain message. Like when we had the Kakari campaign, every month Bible study message or every month text that was written in the package, it should be read in the recipient's family. And that message becomes important than what is inside the packet. And in that way, the church is involved in family ministry. And the church is also involved in bringing a girl child's dignity. And as Bafana said, some girl children can never go to school with their periods. So as they enjoy the sanitary towel, they also enjoy to read what the church says and the message from the church and other collaborators. Obvious, sometimes you need some funding. So you tell the collaborator, I need funding for this package, and you are free to bring your message. Some they offer free mental health support or psychological support. They will write that message and write their number. This is where you can contact us. We are happy that you are a recipient of the Lutheran Diaconate Dignity Pack, and then you read the message.
Thanks, Rev. Thanks,
Oh,
Rev. Yes.
yeah.
Thanks.
I know I can take very long. Thanks
Thank you very much. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask, before I hand over to my co-pilot, Sister Ngele, I'm going to hand over to Reverend M.L. Damin, briefly, in less than 2 minutes, just to give an overview of the HIV and AIDS program.
Thank you very much, Rev. I think I will try my best to be brief. In the Eastern Diocese in 2013 started an HIV and AIDS project, which was aimed at responding to the high HIV and AIDS prevalence that Eswatini and South Africa experienced. As you know, that we have Eswatini circuit and our other Igwa circuit, which is in the part of South Africa in Mpumalanga. The program is implemented in phases of 3 years per parish in the catchment areas that have been identified with a high vulnerability and high prevalence of HIV. So the vulnerability, when we talk about vulnerability, the groups that were mostly targeted were women, the children, especially the OVCs, people with disability, and all those who are chronically ill or who are patients or the people living with HIV. So the interventions included food security, which food security or nutrition, where you will remember that some people were taking medication, but they didn't have food that they can take before taking their medication, which was also dangerous for their health. So this project also embarked on ensuring that there is proper food security through provision of food parcels and nutritional supplements, and also encouraging and supporting the beneficiaries to start backyard gardens or nutritional gardens where they grow vegetables and fruit trees. And so in that way, they will have a sustainable supply of food. And also the home-based care, giving or palliative care for critical patients that was given by the HBCs. So some of those were sick and at home, so they would visit them frequently and give support, whatever support that they need, and also identify the problems that they are experiencing, so that they also linked to care and support. So this program also looked at GBV, because we know that sometimes we cannot say we are looking at GBV and then ignoring, HIV and ignoring GBV, because those are contemporary issues that are intertwined. So they are going hand in hand. So when you're addressing HIV, so it's also important that you also address GBV, because some of the victims of GBV are also prone to GBV makes people to be prone to also acquiring HIV in the process. So the project was also addressing issues of GBV. I'm trying to be very fast. That's why sometimes I feel like I'm not. So HIV/AIDS awareness raising campaigns are also done in this project, where people are also educated and capacitated on HIV. How can they take care of themselves? How can they adhere to treatment? The dangers of not adhering to treatment and stuff. Linking people to care and support. So the project was also embarking on that. On the part of GBV, you will know that especially in rural areas, people were not linked to case management or linked to care. Those who are survivors of GBV. So there is this part of GBV where we're linking the victims to those who are doing case management, partners who are doing case management, like the Ministry of the Department of Social Welfare and all those other organizations that are dealing with case management for GBV. So this project was also ensuring that in those catchment areas, those who are GBV survivors or victims, they are linked to care and support, and also provided with psychosocial support. So I think also that the project that is doing in the catchment areas that we are focusing on also was ensuring that those who are not in good condition, yet they are taking their medication, so they are also given some supplements so that their immune system is boosted, and that it responds well to the treatment that they are taking. So I think in a nutshell, that is what the HIV and AIDS program is doing in the Eastern Diocese.
Thank you very much, Raf. And indeed, we are a caring church, and faith in action is alive within the ELCSA. Mother Teresa reminded those who she was living with that do not wait for your leaders. Do it alone, person to person. Sister Ngele, you are the church, I'm the church. Speak to other churches. Over to you.
And we are the church. Thank you so much, Brother Khomutse, and thank you so much to our beautiful panelist. Just before I go into happy, I don't know if there was a comment or there was a question, but it reads as follows. ELCSA built a hospital in Lihurutse, which is in Zerust, which is now the government is neglecting. So it has really helped a lot of people. So that's something to ponder about. And then just to give a bit of steering it to another direction over to Bishop Manong in the COD. May you kindly highlight us on what is happening in the Cape Orange Diocese in line with faith in action. Over to you, Bishop. Can anybody hear
I think
me?
he's not online.
Oh, okay, because he had an emergency, so we thought he would. All right. Are there any questions, Brother Ray, from our chat or any hands raised?
There's no further hands.
All right. Please be mindful of the house rules again. Kindly keep your camera together with your mic always off unless you are speaking. And one thing for sure, kindly log on to your WhatsApp, your TikTok, your Facebook, your YouTube channels under the title OneELCSA and have your say. Let's hear you. We would love to hear you and love you because our church, our responsibility. All right. And over to you, Brother Khomutse.
I'm the church, you are the church, we are the church. My wonderful panelists, in less than 2 minutes, based on the good work that you are doing, can you reflect what can we do differently to position ELCSA as church that leads faith in action? In less than 2 minutes, what can we do differently? And then when I shake, when I greet you, I mean it shows that your 2 minutes is dying. Over to you, Dean, if you can lead us.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, and for the information we just received on what our church is doing in other dioceses. You know, I have maybe 2, if not 3, suggestions that I think we need to do. All what we've been saying, it's either we are doing by leagues and associations, which are substructures to the mainstream. So I wish one day we can temper a bit or make amendments to the constitution. We have the ministry, a diaconal ministry, mandatory to the church, and being so that it can be reported to the councils, and the council can monitor the progress thereof. And secondly, the issue of empowerment is very important, because most of the things are all in the minds, and most of our clergy or maybe pastors are not equipped to meet the challenges that are faced by the communities. So I wish the training part can be the training part of the clergy can be enhanced with the realities that are happening on the ground. And secondly, we amend the constitution so that the faith in action stroke diaconal work can be monitored by our councils. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Musa, in less than 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. I think maybe to what we can do differently. I think as a church we need to focus more on the grassroots level, where we have our congregations and parishes. That's where we can start. Maybe what we can start with is maybe community service projects, like organizing service projects that demonstrate the church's commitment to serving others, such as livelihood development programs and food security, nutrition interventions, and also maybe disaster relief efforts. I think one other thing that can be more can be done differently is also providing testimonies and stories of what we are doing in the different churches, so that we can share ideas amongst the different dioceses, parishes, and circuits, like maybe sharing stories of how faith has impacted the lives of church members, highlighting the different faith the difference that faith has made in their lives. For example, having a weekly or monthly newsletter shared on ELCSA's social media platforms and the websites. I think also maybe also doing outreach evangelism, like using the milestones as an opportunity to reach out to the community, and also sharing the gospel in inviting others to join the church. Because as we are doing the outreach and all these social services, it's another way of also evangelizing and inviting people to join our church as ELCSA. And also reflection on renewal. Take time to we have to take time to reflect on ELCSA's journey over the past 50 years and renew our commitment to faith in action, setting new goals and priorities for the future. I think that's what I can say for now. Something that we can do differently.
Thank you very much. Reverend Duma, just to highlight key points that you want us to do differently, and then followed by Reverend Kumar. Just two.
Yes, I promise you. One, let me start by appreciating the decision of the General Assembly that all dioceses and council must have a diaconate officer within the sittings. That diaconate officer must be part of the diocesan council. I haven't seen much, but I appreciate it because I sit in a diocesan council as a diaconate officer of SED. And I wish that could happen in many dioceses. That's the first one. The second one is to look at social ills and the pandemic, what is declared as the pandemics in our societies that create that needs psychosocial support. Now remember, in that General Assembly, when there was a hostility in Swaziland, SED was identified as the shelter for the victims of violence in Swaziland, and the diaconate was very much involved in making sure that we've got those centers to address these issues. We have the migration, immigrants, asylum seekers challenges that leads to what is happening right now, whereby the chasing and the invasion and everything. We need to address that as a church. We need to find a holistic approach on how to address those things. And of course, biggest challenge, gender-based violence. We need to have strategies that the church can get involved. I'm happy that ULCSA is part of assisting us, and ULCSA is arranging workshops. Climate change, and again, we need to tap in how the church minister to LGBTIQA. And thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Reverend Bafana Kumalo, just two key issues that we think we should do differently.
If I may beg your indulgence, I'll do three quick ones, but very quick. One, we need to improve our governance systems. I think the elephant in the room, we all are aware that we have had a miscarriage of justice in our church, where resources were misallocated or misused, and yet there was no consequence management. Now, those things are going to affect how we move forward if when there's misdemeanor to that level, there are no consequences, because it sends a wrong message. As philosophers say, if you do not acknowledge your wrongs in the past, you are condemned to repeat them in the future. I do think that we need to address how do we ensure that there's consequence management when things lapse and are not done correctly. Secondly, we all agreed here that we have trained a lot of people in terms of education. Now, how are we harnessing those skill sets? One of the misgivings in our church, we've trained people who are now skilled, many are in leadership, they're in the corporate, they're in government, but there's no harmony of how we bring them into the system of the church to help the church improve our systems. Lastly, as colleagues have indicated, we have the scourge of gender-based violence. We have interventions that are there, but what is missing is where are we engaging with men and boys? Because women don't violate themselves. Women are violated by us men, including in the church, by the way. We have a lot of sexual harassment in our church by young women. If we are listening, we will hear these voices. Now, how do we bring men on board so that we begin to hold each other accountable as men and ensure that we discourage these toxic masculine behaviors that also operate in the church, but also that we take proactive steps that contribute towards turning the tide against gender-based violence in our society. That includes, by the way, the challenge that I've posed to the prayer men's league in our church. We need as men to avail ourselves as mentors, as coaches to our young boys, so that they can learn that we can be men, but be also men that are not angry, men that are abusive, men that are doing negative things, so that we can be positive and follow in the footsteps of the Prince of Peace, who has taught us that we must always treat everyone with dignity and respect. So I'm challenging that we need to have programs that engage men and boys on the issue of gender-based violence. Thank you very much.
Indeed, faith in action is alive within the church. I'm the church. You are the church. Sister Ngele, let's take questions from the floor.
Thank
Over
you
to
so
you,
much
my
indeed,
co-pilot.
and we are the church. Thank you so much, Brother Komutso. I've got one from Tsepo Tsenolo, who says, good evening. Is it possible for ELCSA to organize a community service day in one of the 3 days between the 18th to the 21st of December as part of our Faith in Action initiatives in Rustenburg? We can volunteer at a local old age home or orphanages, providing assistance and spreading joy to those in need. Beautiful one. And then there's a question. There was a question, sorry. And then we've got another one from, I presume, Muruti Paledi. Mahopa, sorry. He says, South Africa continues to struggle with racial, ethnic, and class division, as well as gender-based violence. My eyes are failing me, but I'm here. All right. As well as gender-based violence and xenophobia. ELCZ has congregations in GP, especially in Central Diocese. Since we are viewed as xenophobic, does ELCSA, there's the question, have an appetite to position itself as a healing community where reconciliation is preached, practiced, and lived out? That is a question. And then we've got M.E. Mafokwane, who says, great work and evident of work done out there, and we are grateful. May we also remember fellow Lutherans as congregants, being part of the society, also in need of support. Those who are in financial distress and cannot contribute towards the church dues may also benefit from faith in action and can also be creative around how we do that. Thank you so much. And the rest is going to say great work and evident of the work done out there. So we are grateful. I guess that goes to the panelists. Over to you. Did I miss any hands, Brother Ray Ray?
No, there are no hands, and those are all the comments. Thank you.
All right. Oh, I see the last question. Sorry, it's from Lehense again. How can we introduce a Young Prayer Men's League? Is it Young Prayer Men's League or something? I don't know. Youth Prayer Men's League or Prayer Men's League. I don't know. Engaging young men on issues that affect outside our sisters and our mothers in the church. There it goes again. I think Muruti Bafana has spoken about that. Well said, Muruti. And men and boys are not ready to deal with empowerment women and girls, hence the GBV and femicide. This men will, the men in the church, as you said, need to take action and be mentors. Thank you so much. We are very grateful for the comments. And if your question is not answered, please feel free again to come back again. Faith in Action, it's an ongoing project towards this such beautiful initiatives. Over to you again, Brother Komutso, as the moderator. That's all from me.
Thank you, my co-pilot. I'm going to ask Dean to briefly respond to one question in less than a minute. Referent, might do the same, Reverend Bafana and Reverend, just in less than a minute. We reflect on the questions and comment that has been raised.
Thank you, Brother Komoto. You know what the challenge is? You know, we are speaking about the programs, which will be difficult. Like I personally, as a pastor, I know the Bible will teach me about the ethos of what is right and wrong, but I know there are effective ways, which most are secular. We need to, hence I suggest that we need to have a body that deals with such kind of problems, not only of the challenges that we're facing now. Maybe in the future we'll have different types of challenges, but once we have the body in place, the body will able to say, okay, we have a problem like this, let's respond like this. We have problem like that, let's respond like that. But if we can assume that the pastor can do everything, oh, I'm scared we are not going to win it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Bafana Kumalo.
Yes, I'll respond to the one question, I think, by my brother Makofane, about the need for, perhaps to consider those of our congregants who are struggling. And we all know jobs are tight, poverty levels are high, and yet we still expect them to have obligations in the church. Now, the irony is we are celebrating 50 years of Jubilee, and Jubilee is about forgiveness of debts. Are we ready as ELCSA to say we will consider that those that, have not had means to fulfill their obligations can be given a second chance so that they can start all over? I think Jubilee will be meaningless if we don't have clear programs that ensures that indeed Jubilee is there for everybody, including those that are now marginalized through no fault of their own, but because they are facing poverty levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Duma.
I guess I'm covered.
Okay, thank you. Reverend Dame.
I'm covered, bro.
Okay, and as my co-pilot indicated, faith in action is in motion, and we will continue to engage on this question. My honorable panelists, as you conclude, what do you think should be the ELCSA Jubilee legacy project, either at parish level, at circuit level, at diocese level, in less than a minute? If you can share at least 3 concrete suggestions or recommendations which should be part of the ELCSA Jubilee legacy project, so that when we remember the celebration that we have had, we can say, this is how we have touched and changed the lives of God's people. That we have demonstrated beyond a reasonable doubt that faith in action is a reality within the ELCSA. Reverend Bafana Kumalo, as we start, just high level 2-3 years.
3 of those. One, as have been mentioned, I think we need to have a concerted program on climate justice. As we all know, climate change is a very serious matter. I think it will have made a very significant contribution if we have a clear program as ELCSA for the next 50 years. Secondly, I do think that given the challenges of gender-based violence, it would really make a huge difference if we enhance our interventions as the church that coordinates a targeted program that responds to the challenge of gender-based violence. I have already made suggestions about engaging with men and boys in this regard. Thirdly, I do think that we have a major challenge, as my brother from Southeastern Diocese have indicated, in actualizing strengthening of diaconal work so that it's intentional, it's not by accident, that it's part of our plans, that it's part of our strategies, that we also find resources to ensure that we implement all the ideals that we are dreaming about of making a difference in the lives of our people that are facing massive poverty out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Reverend Duma, 3, what do you think should be the Jubilee ELCSA legacy project? Briefly so.
Reverend Bafana has covered 3 of them, and I think sustainability programs.
Sustainability programs.
Most of the churches has a piece of land. Let us use that piece of land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Self-sufficient and self-reliance, sustainability project. Dean, 3 key top legacy projects that you are suggesting.
Yeah, but mine is basically on the constitution, my brother. I think we can manage the programs well once we establish a diaconate ministry stamped in the constitution with its own responsibilities, and I will even to a certain degree with its own budget, so that it can attract outside benefits, like from the social development and other agencies that fund such a program. So generally, I would say we have directly from the Constitution introduced a diaconate ministry, not only to be represented in the diocese, we have it in the Constitution. Thank you.
Institutionalize, and strengthen diaconate ministry across all spheres of the church. Concrete.
Yes, I forgot one thing. Sorry.
Referent.
To have the diaconate ministry as a subject in the seminar. Thank you.
Okay. Integrate it into our syllabus so that it's embedded in our theological teaching. Thank you very much. Referent Dlamini, top 3.
Yeah.
Legacy project. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Rev. Most of my points have been covered, but what I can add is that as a region, or as a church, we are facing a big challenge of youth unemployment. So I think as a church, we need also to embark on establishing programs that will help in our diaconic work, having programs that will help to address issues of unemployment or job creation, whereby maybe the youth will be able to be employed or employ themselves or start livelihoods projects that will help to generate income for them. And also women in the church and all those who are not employed. Yeah. And also, I think Reverend Duma also, is it Reverend Bafana or Duma, touched on strengthening the the mission in diaconal diaconic work in the churches, like making it effective and also life-giving. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my wonderful panelists, for very insightful input that you've made. Brothers, I'm the church, we are the church. Collectively, we are called to demonstrate through words, action, and deed that indeed we belong to God Almighty. Never worry about numbers. Help one person at a time.